So, welcome back to the gaming pantry on this rather sunny afternoon, which is why the picture is probably looking a bit strange at the moment. Sunlight streaming in, which is causing real havoc with the light anyway. It's my usual time for recording, so bugger the sunlight and off we go. Hello everybody, this is the Retro Bear from the pantry, welcoming you back to another video. Now, you may remember a couple of weeks ago I did a video on the Blu-ray and the Blu-ray film and TV collection that me and Mrs. Bear have amassed over the last X number of years. And that's led me to think, well, you know what? There are other things within my collection that I can show off. So today, we've got sort of part one of this. I've still got the Blu-ray 3Ds to come, which is probably going to be across two parts because there are so many of them. Then we've got the DVDs, which I want to go through as well. That's probably going to be a couple of videos. Massing videos here, and this one is going to be split into two parts as well, because today we're going to take a look at my remaining VHS collection. And this VHS collection is huge, or was huge at one point. I used to buy films all the time before the advent of DVD and Blu-ray. I was very much a film fanatic, certainly through my teenage years into my early 20s, and really try to take in as much as I can do film-wise. So what we've got here today is a collection of feature films. Now I'm going to split this into two. So what you can see today is more films, and then what I'm going to do on the next one is more to do with TV related stuff, but also my own personal interest in old black and white film comedy. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, that'll be a good one to watch. If you're not, obviously this might be more for you. This can be more feature film based. What we've got in here is basically a collection of VHS, probably dating from around about the very late 1980s through to about the year 2000. Some of these I've bought. Some of these are, I think, Mrs. Bear related. There's a couple in here that are Mrs. Bear related. There's also a couple in here as well, which we picked up at some point when, probably about 15 years ago, when Mrs. Bear was selling stuff on the car boot, which we picked up in lots, which is still, for some reason, we still got. I don't know why. And we may find stuff in here that's sealed. We may also find stuff in here that I've since bought on DVD, which I can almost hear that voice in the background, which is going, why have you still got it on VHS if you got it on DVD? She doesn't talk like that, but, you know, you get an idea. Maybe even we've got these on Blu-ray as well, possibly. I'm not sure, I don't think so, but definitely some of these have been upgraded to DVD, so why have we still got the VHS, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out, won't it? So, without further ado, let's go through some of these. Now, this is going to be, like I said, feature films, so there's going to be some old stuff in here, there's going to be some, I say, current stuff. Stuff from the last 40 years in here. Does it make you feel old when you pick these things up? Some of these will still have the shop labels on them, and like I said, some of these will still be sealed. If I can remember where they came from and why I got them, I can tell you. If not, I might be showing you boxes. We may also check some of them to see if we've got the old tape mould on there as well. Now also as well, I will say this, if anybody has any interest in any of these, you can always drop me a line in the comments below. And if you see anything here, I understand it may all be up for grabs, but we do need to downsize a little bit. I don't think there's anything really rare here. There may be, I may be surprised, but I don't think there is. But again, I don't think a lot of it's quite common as well. I think a lot of it is more interesting than sort of, you know, there's no Spider-Man in here. There's not a Jurassic Park. We've got no copy of Jurassic Park. Okay, we've got none of that sort of stuff. There might be a few films in here that surprise you. It may also give you more of an insight, and these are more mine. So we did the Blu-ray before, which is more Mrs. Bear stuff. The 3D stuff will certainly be Mrs. Bear stuff, but the VHS and the DVD is more going to be my stuff. So you get a better insight into me. Those who watch the Why I Love little series that I did will get an idea of that. So let's start at the top. So I'm just going to go through these. They are in no particular order, apart from one series which I'm going to bring out bit by bit. So the first one, now the front cover, I've got to say first of all, for those of you watching of a more sensitive nature, this is the front cover of the VHS release. It's not intended to offend anybody, this is simply how it was back then. I think it's the only thing I've got like that in here anyway. So this is a copy of the Jolson story. Now, as you can see, Larry Parks there as Al Jolson in blackface, so I do apologise for that on his behalf. He's obviously not here to defend himself, but that's how it was back then. That was how entertainment was 100 years ago. White performers would put burnt cork on their face and whiten their lips and pretend to sing in the style of the African Americans and the people. That's that thing, and I don't want to get down that thing, but that's how it was. That was Al Jolson, famous entertainer, was well renowned for. He dropped that in later years, but people still remember it. And everyone thinks of Al Jolson, they think of the white gloves and the face. So this was meant to be his life story. It's as is Hollywood back in the 50s. It's slightly interpreted differently. It's not entirely his life story. But what was interesting about this one is that Jolson provided the soundtrack. It resurrected his career before the very end of his life. He even actually did a few of the long shots on this film as well. So when you see Larry Parks on stage and there's a long shot, it's actually Al Jolson doing a few moves on the film. Larry Parks won an Oscar. There was a follow-up called the Jolson Sings Again, and I've watched this one. There you go, because I haven't rewound it. They've watched it, but yeah, I do love this old, the old Hollywood stuff. This is absolutely. They came out of Columbia Pictures. Larry Parks, Evelyn Keyes, Bill Goodwin, William Demarest, and directed by Alfred E. Green. Names that I'm sure most of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but in terms of cinema, it's an absolute classic, and in terms of how entertainment was back then, a very decent interpretation of what entertainment was. Again, apologies for the cover for that, but I'm not sure about that. What have we got next? Let's grab this one. Because some of these are so dusty, they've been in the cupboards for ages. So we've got a copy of, not one of my favourite genres, but likely to be one of the more... I can give or take this genre depending on what it is. This one is a great film regardless, because of the cast and the performances. This is the special collector's edition, widescreen edition of Unforgiven. You can see it says 3 videos for £15. It's probably come out of HMV or Virgin at some point anyway. 3 for 15 or a tenner each. That's a bargain, isn't it? £5 each or 10 quid each. Wow, £5 if you buy 3. Brilliant. So we got Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and Richard Harris. What a lineup that is! And again, regarded as an absolute classic. It won, I think, 4 Oscars. I think it did at the time. Winner of 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actor. So it doesn't get any better than that. And I don't like westerns. I do like some of the old classic. John Wayne the Searchers, comic westerns like Blazing Saddles or Way Out West or Cat Ballou, but not so much heavy westerns. This though is just a great film for the great performances in there. It's sealed. It is sealed. Now what I tended to do back then, as opposed with DVD, I would actually go and buy a DVD. Back in these days, back then, you would watch this in a cinema, or you'd watch it on Sky, because it came on Sky, within sort of 18 months of being in the cinema, and then the video would come out. So you go and buy the video, you watch it, I must go and own that. That's the whole thing. Whereas with DVDs, I tended to buy DVDs because I'd heard about the film, thought I'll buy a DVD instead, especially when I was getting Region 1s in. Of course, now there's so little difference between the two, you can actually, someone in the cinema now, you can actually download it and, not download it, rent it, they say, don't buy to rent or whatever from the Sky Store or things like that. Really, sorry about the lighting. I've got a white t-shirt on red background, holding things up. It's going really well so far. But there we go. So Unforgiven. It's still in its original packaging, but I have seen it a few times. And it's interesting, the old t-shirt, Mr. Old School here, which is what we're doing today. Mrs. Bear buys all my clothes. It's another one. Here's one I saw in the cinema, and I saw it again quite recently because I thought I haven't seen this film for years, and I downloaded it again. I've even read the book. So I've read the book, I've seen the film in the cinema, and I've got the video. And this is, again, I watched it again a few months back. It might have been last year, say a few months, and I still thought it was quite funny in places. Some of it's dated a little bit, but I still thought it was very, 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 very funny. And this is the story of Howard Stern, Private Parts. The book is great. I read the book first, Then I went to see the film, because Howard Stern was for those people who don't know, was an American radio disc jockey who was specialised in sort of shop radio, and this is his story from beginning to end, and very much very true to it. Even some of the people who were involved in his work and his rise to his career are actually in the film playing themselves. It's really quite good. Some great bits in here, honestly. If you don't know anything about it, it's a great watch. The book was brilliant. I read the book first. I lent it to a friend of mine, never got it back, which is quite funny because I don't think you can read. But anyway, and again, just a copy of that. I won't try and do this with all the ones. If there's anything interesting in there, I'll show you. But yeah, that's one of my favourite. Yeah, I do like comedy. Comedy's one of my great things, and even more so as well because that one was more true. That's based on a true story. And also as well, I got this in the sale because it says normally $16.49. Now sale price at $7.99. Must be an absolute bargain to buy that. There we go. What should we do next? Let's do another sort of one of these. People sometimes back then used to accuse me of watching obscure films I'd never heard of, and I'd sort of pass this information and go, oh, actually that was quite good. Here's one that I told people about when it came out. I'd heard about it. Again, wasn't really particularly aware of this director at the time. But I'd read about it in various films magazines. Said, oh, we've got to go and see that. So we actually rented this on video when it came out. I watched it around a friend's house and we were like, oh, this is hilarious. So this is a Kevin Smith film, and this is Clerks. I'm pretty sure there was a sequel to this a number of years later, which I haven't seen and I don't want to see. Kevin Smith, I'm not a massive admirer of. I've seen most of his films. I think I saw Dogma in the cinema, Chasing Amy. Not seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I don't, not these people who think, oh, the new Spielberg film's out, or the new, Ridley Scott films out. I've got to go and watch them. I'm not somebody like that, or a certain actor. I've got to go and watch that film. I just watch films that interest me, and this is a very, very sort of dark comic film indeed. It's a great bit with the funeral parlour and a coffin as well, which if anybody's seen that will know what I'm talking about. And it's got a nice little inlay on that one as well. It's actually a reversible cover, so you could have the rather poncy, arty film cover, or you could actually have the one which is based on the film poster, which is good. There's also a leaflet in there for the Artificial Eye video spring order for 1998. And also my original receipt is in there as well. How about that, eh? There we go. My original receipt from the Merry Hill Centre. Because anyone knows Merry Hill Centre, HMV moved. August 1998, 29th of August 1998. And I must have got this at the same time as... Oh no, I've got a couple of films, yes. There's two of the films I bought at the same time as this one, not Unforgiven. There we go. We're finding all this stuff out now, but there we go, Clerks. If you haven't seen it, go and have a watch of it, because I think it's one of those films which... It's very independent filmmaking. It looks like it's been shot on a budget of about 45 pence. I used to love stuff like that. I'll show you this very, very quickly. This is a video I got free with, was it Empire magazine or Total Film? Something, I can't remember. My God, the dust on this is terrible. Did it come from Total Film? I don't know. It's got a film called The Greatest Scenes of All Time, which came off of a film magazine. There we go. And again, this is the sort of stuff I like. The samplers you can get, oh, this is quite good. And you watch it and then you go, oh, wow. And then you actually go and seek the film out. This probably was more a promotional thing. So we've got scenes from Dr. No, Rebel Without a Cause, Goodfellas, Gremlins, The Big Sleep, Dirty Harry, The Adventures of Robin Hood, which is the old Errol Flynn film, 2001: Space Odyssey, Gone with the Wind, Body Heat, Full Metal Jacket. These are all classics. Wizard of Oz, Red River, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask, The Apartment, A Night at the Opera, Diner, Casablanca, All the President's Men, The Third Man, Manhattan, True Romance, Blade Runner, and Some Like It Hot. I mean, that is a list and a half of great, great films. And I know, having read that out there, that would have certainly inspired me at the time to seek out Dirty Harry. It would have inspired me to seek out Everything You Want to Know About Sex. And probably a couple others as well, but those two predominantly. So yeah, that came with the magazine. Still got that. I used to buy a magazine with videos of trailers on them. Trailers for upcoming films. I used to have loads of those. They've all gone. Another one I got free with a magazine, which I'll just show you that one very, very quickly, because I don't want to roll too much on this one. This one did come out of, again, another film magazine. It's incredibly dusty. I hope it's all right. It's still in the sleeve, so I don't think it's ever come out. And again, the film buff in me back in the day don't even, probably against the late 90s, would have just lapped this up and thinking, wow, I must get hold of a copy of this. And they go away a copy free of Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which a very iconic film character on the front there, the robot which comes out of the spaceship. That's another one as well, isn't it? They came from, what's it called now? Yeah, I showed it in my Blu-ray thing anyway. There's another film like that. It was a very iconic film moment and character. This is a silent film, which came out 1920 something or other. 2 hours and 20 minutes. There we go. Some shots at the back as well. You can probably just see there. Not very well because the camera's a bit blurry, but yeah. Like I said, apologies, my memory's a bit sketchy on some of this stuff, but it's been quite a while since I've had a look at it. And there's some dust in my throat now. Right, let's try and pick up the pace a little bit here. LA Confidential, which again was a frame that came at surprise. We got the man who shall not be named there, alongside Russell Crowe and that bloke from Neighbours, and Kim Basinger. Yeah, Guy Pearce is in this. In fact, I point that wrong. Guy Pearce is there, and that's Russell Crowe, I think, in the background. I remember a quick story about this one. It's a great film if you've not seen it. I've not seen it for a long time, but really good film. Went to see it in the cinema then when we bought the video. We remember seeing in the cinema the adverts, the film, the promotional cardboard they put up, and my mate goes, "Oh, look at this." He says, "Look." I said, "What?" He said, "Who's that?" Points to the gentleman there. I said, "I've got absolutely no idea." He said, "It's Mike from Neighbours." What's he doing in a film with Kevin Spacey and Kim Basinger? Oh, that's going to be terrible. Danny DeVito's in it as well. It's not. It's a cracker. It's a real cracker. If you've not seen that one, go and seek out 1998, I think, for that one. What have we got here? Oh, blimey. What do I pick out next? I don't want to do that one yet because I've got those there. That one here. I've talked about this one in the Blu-ray film. Again, I'm going to keep it quite brief. I've got this film collection on Blu-ray. This is the only one that's not part of it because it wasn't copyright issues or whatever, and it's a dreadful VHS copy because it's pan and scan. And again, a couple of people picked up on that in that video as well. This is the return of the Pink Panther with Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau, Christopher Plummer as the Phantom, Catherine Schell and Herbert Lom as Inspector Dreyfus. I've watched this so many times. And I must get a copy of it on. I think I've got a digital copy of it. I think I managed to download it from somewhere. I must get a proper copy of that to complete my collection anyway. Love the Pink Panther films. Go back and talk a bit more about that on the Blu-ray video if you've not seen that one. Here's another one I saw in the cinema and I thought, what a cracking film this was. I don't know, I went out, I saw the film, then I went and bought the book. So I did it slightly different to Private Parts. And I'm going to watch this during lockdown when we went through a period of watching. I said, I'd watch all my favourite gangster films like The Godfather and because we downloaded The Irishman as well, which was the Scorsese one with De Niro and Pacino in it, and I said, I want to watch that as well. And I said, well, make sure we get this one as well. So we downloaded this, and this is Donnie Brasco with Al Pacino and Johnny Depp. An amazing film. It's a great book as well if you ever get a chance to read it. Again, based on a true story. Sometimes these things that are based on true stories are so much better. Great reviews on the back for it as well. Al Pacino is brilliant in this. He really is. I don't keep using the word massive fan or my favourite in the world ever or not my favourite. I don't seek out Al Pacino films, but everything you seem to see in he's always particularly good. Yeah, he can go a bit over the top a little bit, but Johnny Depp was probably the real star of this film. And it's just a great story. Anne Heche, I think, plays his wife in this film. And it's sort of all your favourite recognisable people who we like to play gangsters, you know, the New York style ones. They all look the same, and you think, yeah, I've seen him in so and so. But again, that's a period piece set there. There's a great bit where they're cutting up a body, and I used to be quite squeamish back then. I thought, I don't like the sound of this. And they're cutting this guy they just shot to pieces. Yeah, really interesting. I'll get this one out of the way because it's not one of mine. Definitely not one of mine. I know that one. I wouldn't have been caught dead buying this one. Sleepless in Seattle. There we go. That's all I'm saying about that one. I've never seen it. I've got no interest in seeing it. I don't really do romantic comedies. I think it's a Mrs. Bear one, that one. What have we got here? Now this one I got, see, I saw this on video. I saw this on home video. I don't think it got a cinema release over here, which was quite surprised at the time. I remember thinking it was hilarious, and I bought it on video, and then years later I bought it on DVD, so you'll see it again in another video. And I watched it again reasonably recently, in the last few years or so. I still think it's quite funny, but it's not quite as funny as I thought it was. This is from the directors of something which I can't read, but it stars Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park, and it's Baseketball, which is, cut long story short, basketball and baseball are merged to create a new sport, because sport in America is being franchised and getting too much people. Also got Jenny McCarthy in. What's that guy's? It's Robert Vaughn. Robert Vaughn, who was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., most people remember him from. And he's in it as well. Cost me $3.99. It's money well spent, that. And I've watched it quite a few times. It's also got quite a funny cameo from Al Michaels and Bob Costa, two American sports broadcasters who people know those, they'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, honestly, that's a very underrated film. I don't think it's quite as good. They did a couple. They did that one and Orgasmo, which was a send-up of sex films, which was all right. But that would have been made around the time after South Park, the movie came out, when they were really doing, that was right at people's consensus. Right, what do we grab next? Let's grab this one. Again, I wouldn't have usually have touched this one with a Barnes pole, but I went to see it in the cinema, and it was an absolute great experience. Paul Verhoeven film, and this is Starship Troopers, which is about a load of giant alien bugs, and this is still sealed. Still sealed. But yes, I got this on I went to see it in the cinema. I thought, great, I'll buy this. This is what the amount of money I spent on these things over the years, $7.99 or 2 for $12. So that's another £6 down the drain. God, don't ever do that. Don't go through and add up stuff that you bought over the years and think, how much have I spent on this? And you'd be actually horrified. But yeah, just over the top action film, a lot of gore and guts and stuff in it. But if anybody knows anything to do with Paul Verhoeven, it's always up to the maximum. Total Recall, what's the other one? RoboCop. Yeah, very, very graphic violence, but good film that one. There's a couple of sequels. They're not nowhere near as good. I think Mrs. Bear bought one on DVD, saying, I've not seen this one. I said, there's a good reason, because it came straight to DVD or video. Saw this one in the cinema. This was a great film. Real rollicking action film. Just what you want, really. And then they made a second film which wasn't so good. This is The Mask of Zorro, with Antonio Banderas, Sir Anthony Hopkins and Catherine Zeta-Jones in. And this was the period that I think it's 1999. I think it's a period when Hollywood were going back through the decade to try and find old things they could resurrect. And Zorro, they used to they're doing it all the time. What was popular back in the 30s or 40s? Zorro. Okay. And that's what it is. But that is a really, really good film. Really, really good film. Have I watched it? No. Still sealed. There we go. It got the security tag on the inside. I did pay for it. It actually says free ticket for Madame Tussauds inside, so I never went. I never went to Madame Tussauds. There we go. Is that still valid? I can't read that. I'm going to have to get a magnifying glass. So there might be a free ticket to Madame Tussauds in there. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, great action film. Antonio Banderas is brilliant in that. What have we got next? Let's go for comedy. And again, I think... Now, I didn't see this at the time because I was too young. I didn't see it till probably it came on television. And I know I definitely saw it around a mate's house, and I thought I must run out and buy that afterwards. I've got it on DVD anyway. It's Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Arguably the weakest of the three films that Monty Python did. Good in parts, great in parts, but not so good in others, particularly the additional short film, which is The Crimson Pirate Adventure. Oh, sorry, The Crimson Permanent Assurance, that's it, as a spoof of insurance thing. Terry Gilliam went off and made this film while they were doing the main body of the film. He had his own studio, went off and did this directorial thing, which is 20 minutes of the most, sorry Terry if you're watching, dull, boring, overblown rubbish I've ever seen. but like I said, it does get better. There's obviously the great bit about people who've gone on a waiting list, have their organs removed, but they're still alive and they're doing it. There's obviously the Mr. Creosote restaurant scene. If you've never seen that, you need to see it for just the sheer vulgarity of it. It's a terrible ending to the film as well, not a great ending. Like I said, it's one of these films which I know, having sort of read a lot about the Pythons and how they got this film put together, that there was real problems in the interpretation process and the scripting process. It does come across on screen, it's very uneven, but the good bits are good, but the bad bits really do drag quite a lot. But yeah, Meaning of Life, there we go. Not saying you shouldn't check it out, but you should do. This one I saw in the cinema, and again, this could become one of the classics. I think I saw it on video as well afterwards, and then went out and bought it. Again, I think one of these films that was so unsung when it came out, and it's now very much regarded as one of the great films. This is Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell before she went to Four Weddings and a Funeral, and became a really annoying actress. That looks like a W.H. Smith sticker, I think. But this is just great. Bill Murray, I mean, what a comedy genius that man is. Just an absolutely fantastic actor and comedian. That's a doorbell. Why have we got a doorbell? Anyway, it's a message chance for the phone ringing. Great film. Bill Murray is a weatherman who gets stuck in Pennsylvania and has to relive the same day over and over again until he realises the error of his ways and becomes a better person. It doesn't sound particularly interesting, but some great comedy stuff in there, and it's a beautiful tale. It's a really, really good tale as well. Well done, very well done indeed. So there we go, Groundhog Day. What have we got next? I mentioned this one earlier on that Clips video. This is probably the film which again, it's one of these uneven films, but I used to go around recommending it to people. And this is Woody Allen's Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex, but Were Afraid to Ask. Now, this was early 70s, this was. Again, I'd heard about it, but not actually seen it. Again, it's one of these things, it's split into parts, like Meaning of Life is split into parts. Therefore, some parts are better than others. The winning part for me in this one, I would say undoubtedly, is the bit with Gene Wilder and the sheep. That obviously sounds quite interesting and incredibly absurd to some people, but he basically plays a doctor who found himself attracted to a sheep. Yeah, it's uneven to say the least. It's not probably one of Woody Allen's best, if you like Woody Allen, if you seek out more films by Woody Allen. Now he's dressed as a giant sperm, but early Woody Allen tends to be funnier than later Woody Allen. So if you want to laugh, there might be some bits in there for you, but it is it's a little bit uneven. But that's the sort of stuff I would buy. I'd never seen it before. I'll go and buy it. Never seen it before. Just run out and say, I'll go buy that. This one, wow, I mean, this is one of these, it's about films that they just sort of leave you empty and hollow afterwards when you've watched them. You feel like you've actually been through the process or been through what the characters and film have been. Here's one for you, Apocalypse Now. This is the widescreen edition. My goodness me. I first saw this back in the mid-90s on television. And it's just one of the, I mean, it's just short of 3 hours long, I think, 104, so it's actually not longer than I thought it was, 147 minutes. I think on television it would have been close to 3 hours, on Channel 4 or something like that, but it just feels like you've been through the entire process of being in the Vietnam War with them. It contains a brilliant performance by Martin Sheen. It contains a baffling performance by Marlon Brando. It's either brilliant or it's ridiculously over the top. It's in between the two for me. You've never seen this film, you've got to go and see it just to experience it. It's mind-blowing. It leaves you hollow afterwards. It really does. Not because of the nature of the subject. Just I think it's one of those films that just continually sort of like punches you repeatedly, so you feel battered by the end of it. There's a couple others in here as well, which I'll go through about that one. Probably my famous sequence in that is two probably. The bit that start with the helicopters dropping the napalm bombs to the Flight of the Valkyries orchestral classical piece of music, and also the bit of Marlon Brando deciding to slice up a cow. Yeah, I know, bonkers. What have we got next? Now this is probably the oldest video I've got in here, and we saw this advertised on Saturday morning kids television, so obviously it gives you an idea how long ago this was. This is probably about 1985, 1986, and it was also one of the very first times I actually went into a video shop afterwards. This was before the VHS market was tailored for an affordable level, and I went into, I think it was Our Price, and this video was there. It's like, oh wow, we'd seen this. We'd rented it out on video as a family, so we quite enjoyed it. I said, oh wow, they've got this on video, and it was priced at $68.99. I know, yeah, that's how much they used to cost back then. $68.99. It cost you $89.99. I think was a more common price. So obviously we didn't buy it. Nothing was worth that much, and I got it years later. This is actually the re-release probably. Got a bit of damage on this one, but this is Steve Martin, Chevy Chase and Martin Short as Les Three Amigos. There we go. It used to be on television all the time when I was a kid, but it's definitely one of the oldest, possibly the oldest video cassette I've got, apart from my Doctor Who ones. Yeah, it still makes me laugh because I know it pretty much off by heart nowadays. If you've never seen it, it's not bad. If you like those three guys and think that the idea of them three together would be quite fun, it is. Martin Short, most people wouldn't have known at the time. It is a very good performance. Probably my favourite part in this film is the My Little Buttercup dance routine in the bar. For the best bit of the film, that, and it's definitely worth seeking out. I think I have got that on DVD as well. We'll find that out in a future episode. But there we go. What have we got next? We'll leave those ones till there. We'll leave those ones till there. Let's get another Woody Allen film out, shall we? Oh, now I can hear you crying. Not Woody Allen again. That's Mrs. Billy usually. Yeah, Woody Allen. Now this is a film that probably made me realise that I wanted to seek out more Woody Allen stuff. And again, I said earlier, people regarded his earlier stuff. He tends to be a lot more funnier than his later stuff. So I've got dust up my nose here. I'm clean this. It's been sat on the shelf in the cupboards for ages, so I've dusted some down, but some have still got dust on them. This, I think, is probably one of his best films. It might be his funniest film, I think, ever. Based around a man who gets chronologically frozen and then wakes up 500 years later in a completely futuristic world. And this is Sleeper. In widescreen with Diane Keaton, and it's brilliant. Now, the one bit I think sums this film up. Obviously, in the future, that the idea is they've got things to be grown big, vegetables and animals. Like there's a giant chicken running around at one point, and he's trying to get some food. He's run away from this containment area because obviously being woken up 5 years in the future is a big danger to society, so he manages to escape. He's trying to find some food. He finds a giant banana, peels the banana, and then the people who are chasing him find him, and there's this really silly bit where the banana skin's on the floor, giant banana skin, and they're sort of like trying to chase him, and they keep slipping on the banana skin because obviously we know that from years ago, if you tread on banana skin, you're going to fall over. And believe it or not, it's true. I did that once and scabbed my knee back when I was a kid. This just really worked. Drop banana skin on the floor, walk on it, there we go. So yeah, there's a warning for you. But yeah, and also as well, because Woody Allen is very much a jazz musician. There's a great sort of ragtime jazz soundtrack to this film as well. It's brilliant. It's one of my favourite films, and I can thoroughly recommend it. There is the aforementioned banana, which he's holding there. Again, you might not enjoy Woody Allen, I don't know, but again, for me, that one's an absolute cracker. Really is. 25 odd years later, went to see this, and again, this is a film which had no right to do very well at all. I remember seeing a trailer for it on Sky and thinking that looks quite funny, that. So I went to the cinema and obviously laughed like a drain, bought this on video. I think I got it on DVD. I've not seen it in years, so I'd be interested to see if it still holds up. It's from the Farrelly brothers, which might give you an idea. This is There's Something About Mary, starring Cameron Diaz, Matt Dillon and Ben Stiller, who was probably reasonably still unknown there. But yeah, I mean, I went to the cinema to see it. I mean, it's one of those gross out comedies with lots of vulgarity in it, which is perfect. There's obviously a dog there which is in plaster, as in it's had an accident. There's a bit right at the beginning with somebody getting there. their gentleman's area stuck in a trouser fly. It gives you an idea of what level of humour you're coming at. There's a bit with Cameron Diaz doing something with the hair as well. If you've never seen it, go and have a look, check out. Those people who've seen it will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just hilariously funny. I'll do these three because this is a trilogy. A trilogy. I have a trilogy of videos. Again, I was a massive fan of this TV series when I saw it in the mid '80s. It was on. It was one of the series that came out and was too clever. It was cancelled because it was too clever for American audiences. That sounds a really nasty thing to say, but the humour of it, it just didn't translate. They didn't understand it. Whereas we've shown over here, we thought it was hilarious. It was brilliant. Then they made a film about it. Although this was years afterwards, the TV series came after some films. That's very difficult to explain. Watch Airplane. Airplane, great successful film. Airplane 2, not so good. Then there was a film called Top Secret, which nobody watched, and I've never seen yet. It's about a submarine. Then I think around that time, a TV series came out called Police Squad, with some very, very silly humour in it, and got cancelled after 6 episodes in America. I saw it and I thought it was hilarious. Then this film came out not long after it, and I think that might be what was shown on television. And everybody loved it, and all of a sudden everybody got this sort of humour, and it led to parody after parody after parody after parody. It gave a new career to Leslie Nielsen. This is The Naked Gun. A friend of mine actually went to see this in the cinema, and he said he'd never laughed so much in all his life. And I convinced my parents to rent it, and after that was it. Priscilla Presley, Ricardo Montalban, who was Khan in Wrath of Khan 2, O.J. Simpson as well, George Kennedy, and of course Leslie Nielsen. Fantastically hilarious film. Again, this is my original VHS copy back from 1980. This was 88 release, this was, so it's probably going to be late 1980s. 81 minutes as well. 81 minutes. I mean, what is that nowadays? Most films are 6 hours. 81 minutes of your time. If you go and watch that one, go and watch the great but not quite as funny sequel, which is Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, which me and my mate Jim went to watch in the cinema, and we laughed like a drain, or a pair of drains. It is it's not quite as good. Yeah, it's not quite as good. It's not as funny as the first one. I mean, I think I saw a review for it saying it was 2.5 times funny less than the original, but it's still an absolute cracker. Most of the original cast, all the original cast came back for the sequel, also with the addition of the cast to Robert Goulet, who most people know sang the Canadian national anthem in WrestleMania 6. But yeah, just the same thing over and the same thing again, but very, very funny. My most favourite bit in this film probably is the bit where Leslie Nielsen and the character, I can't remember, it might be Richard somebody. I'd like to say Richard Williams, but I don't think it is. Gentleman there, most people recognise him from film and television. Can't remember, he died a few years back. Very well-known actor. Played the character of Dr. Meinheimer, and he and Leslie Nielsen being held hostage, and Leslie Nielsen's trying to fray his ropes. His hands are tied behind his back against this filing cabinet. Well, Dr. Meinheimer sort of sat alongside him, and all these things fall off the shelf and hit him on the head while he sat there. And there's just one line which just cracks me up, and look what they did to Dr. Meinheimer, and sort of Leslie Nielsen turns around and he's covered in oil and feathers and bowling. He picks his bowling pin up and he's like, yeah, brilliant, go and watch it. And then we have the third one, Naked Gun 33 and a third, The Final Insult. It's not as good, I'm afraid, as the other two. It's still got some very good bits in it. It's got Anna Nicole Smith in, Fred Ward as well. I can't remember the names of the actors in this one. The lady who played Danny DeVito's mum in Throw Mama from the Train. I think she was also in The Goonies as well. Yeah, so not quite as good, this one. Some people have split. It's a good bit. I think it's quite a good bit at the end with the Oscar ceremony and the dance number, but some people think it's a bit overkill, that one. I think it's that bad. But as a trilogy, you know, you will laugh all the way through those. And again, none of those films are particularly challenging. We've got, 81, 79 and 82 minutes. I mean, what's that? 4 hours. You know, that's technically a night, isn't it? You can watch all those films a night. Great stuff. Really did enjoy that. Got on the Monty Python for you. Probably my favourite film Monty Python did, and that is Life of Brian, which I saw on television when Channel 4 showed it as part of the band series back when I was still at school then? I think I might have been, yeah. They showed a series of films and programmes that were banned. Oh, cutting edge Channel 4, that was back in the day. Still one of my favourite funniest films. The stoning sequence is undoubtedly, for me, the king of this. John Cleese, being as only John Cleese can. He does exactly... You just watch John Cleese and you can just see Basil Fawlty in everything he does. He would have done that one after possibly... Certainly the first series of Fawlty Tales, whether the second series had been done by that time, I don't know. They both came out in the same year, 1979. We watched John Cleese in Clockwise from 1985. He's playing Basil Fawlty as a school teacher. He always does. The stoning sequence there, was trying to do organise a stoning of somebody who's been blasphemous. He's just brilliant. You can just see him. You can just see Fawlty. You can. It's hard not to. It's like Fawlty with the stick and the car. It's that sort of manic. I think anybody did that better. That's brilliant. This one I saw in the cinema. I used to watch a cartoon series, thought it was great. I saw it in the cinema, I thought it was brilliant. I still think it's brilliant. When you see something in the cinema that was packed full of people and they're all laughing at a film which should be funny, it's great. Obviously it's different when they should be laughing and they're not, because it's not very good. But sometimes those experiences are the best. You think, if I watched an half-full cinema with people who are half-arsed it or a quarter full, it wouldn't be quite good. When you've got opening day, opening weekend, and you've got a cinema packed full of people on the same wavelength as you are because of the subject matter, you know you're going to be in for a good time. South Park, bigger, longer and uncut. Yes, some of the Saddam Hussein stuff is a bit weird, but some of the songs are fantastic in this. They really are. They really are. If you've never seen this before, I think even as a film it stands on its own. I really do. Sometimes you don't need it, but the Saddam Hussein stuff doesn't stand up particularly well, but the rest of it I think is still seriously good. Can't understand why they never made another one, but yeah, I've not seen it for years. Great film. We talked about Apocalypse Now whacking him over with a giant stick. This one does exactly the same thing as well. In fact, possibly for me, worse than Apocalypse Now did, but man, what a film. What a film. Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep in The Deer Hunter. Wow, that's all I can say, wow. First 45 minutes or so is a bit hard to get into because it's setting up the backstory of these people who are joining up to go and fight in Vietnam. But it's great. It does set up the characters. There's some great scenery in it, and then you get to the Vietnam stuff, and it's like, wow, the old Russian roulette process that they go through, that they're forced to go through, the psychological trauma that they have from it, trying to get back to normal life. One of them ends up staying in Vietnam, and you've never seen this film. You need to see it. It's on all kinds of fantastic level. It's got the brilliant John Williams guitar. Not John Williams, the classical composer, but John Williams, the guy who plays classical guitar. The piece of music called Cavatina. It sets beautifully to this film. It's one of my favourite films of all time. And I just remember sitting there when I watched it. I think it was Channel 4 it was on. And I remember sitting there watching it when it finished, and I just went, wow. That film just left you with a completely hollow feeling at the end of it. I think it pops up on ITV4 now and again, so do check it out. But it's a brutal experience, not because it's violent. I mean, there are some violent scenes in it, but it is just the subject matter and what it does up here to get you thinking. Amazing film. Michael Cimino was the director, and he didn't do anything anywhere near that again. Fantastic piece of filmmaking. Let's move from one fantastic piece of filmmaking to another. We've just lost one of these actors, which is a real shame. Ray Liotta passed away a few weeks ago. This is Goodfellas, directed by Martin Scorsese with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Great as never again. Again, what a great film. This one's got a cracking soundtrack. I stand by the fact the use of the end of Derek and the Dominoes, Layla. The piano bit at the end is used brilliantly in this film. It's Martin Scorsese filmmaking at his very, very best. There's this well-known one-shot Steadicam which he does for about 2 minutes or so, following Ray Liotta. I can't remember the lady's name in this one. If I read the back of the box here, yeah, Lorraine Brasco, that's it. That's Lorraine Bracco, who's playing Ray Liotta's girlfriend in the film. Follows them all the way down into a restaurant. One take. Watch it and think one take. It's just super. Again, great piece of filmmaking. Violent, yes. Funny, yes. And just fantastic. Brilliant from start to finish. And yeah, it's sort of film you could put on for 3 hours. I say 3 hours, 2.25 hours long. There we go. But you can put that film on now and just be absorbed by filmmaking. Brilliant. We got some. I haven't seen this. I saw this on the telly. I thought, wow, that actually is really quite good. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Terence Stamp, Hugo Weaving, and Guy Pearce again. A lot of Guy Pearce films in this video. Yeah, about 3 drag queens going across Australia. Great scenery in this film, great songs in it. You can see some really ridiculously over the top costumes. Oh, they're drag queens. What do you expect, eh? Yeah, I think my mum watched this, and she sit down and watching it on telly, and I was sort of watching it with her. Yeah, $3.99 I paid for that. But yeah, I haven't seen it for years. I'm hoping it's still as good. Priscilla was the coach, I believe, in that one. So yeah, great. But yeah, great film. I like great films. That sort of films that leave you hollow. Yeah, watch The Deer Hunter and then watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You want two sort of like different, take you down there and bring you back up again. Another Woody Allen film. This one I went to see in the cinema. Actually, I went to see this in a art cinema. Oh yes, art cinema. Yes, when I was in the middle of my film buffery with a friend when I was at university, and there was an art cinema in Sheffield, and he said, "Oh, they're showing the new Woody Allen film." I said, "Oh, great." I've never been to like one of these art house cinemas before. They've got big comfy chairs and everything. It was like sitting at home in a big armchair. It was great. And then we went to see this, which was Everyone Else Says I Love You, which is actually a musical. I think it was done, I think Mamma Mia was done very much similar to people who technically couldn't sing or weren't used to singing. But it's got Woody Allen, Goldie Hawn, Drew Barrymore, Julia Roberts, Tim Roth. I think Alan Alda's in here as well, one of my favourite film actors. David Ogden Stiers, he was in MASH as well. There we go. Gary Hoffman, Edward Norton. Yes, Alan Alda is in this one. Natalie Portman as well, pre-Star Wars. Yeah, just a nice little film, that one. It's got some Woody Allen isms in it, but it's also it's done very well. I have watched that one. There we go, and I paid $9.99 for that. I think I got that part of one of the deals. I think on that receipt I mentioned earlier, that was one of them. Not many to go now, don't worry. Because I'm a film fan and a film buff, this is Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland. This tends to crop up on television quite a bit. I think in America it's one of the staples of Christmas cinema. Yeah, guess what? I love musicals. I love old school musicals as well. Now some people don't. I do. This is the sort of thing that I would lap up back then. It's still sealed. You can see. 3 for $15 or $9.99 each. But yeah, this is the sort of thing I would just go out and get. Would hear about it and I'd go out and buy it, or I'd watch it on the television, or I'd seek it out some way or another. I would do. The trolley song "Boy Next Door" under the bamboo tree, and of course "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," which is one of Judy Garland's most famous songs, made famous in that film. There we go. Right, I think apart from this is it. So this one here is the last individual one, and then the other two I'm going to show you are a series of. God knows how long this has been going on. You may want to watch it in 2 parts. So this in the cinema. This is The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. Probably the only film I really actually cared about Jim Carrey in. What a great film this is. A man whose life, unbeknownst to himself, is a TV show. I love the concept of it, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. The way he slowly unravels what's going on, he understands what's going on. There's that bit where he tries to escape at the end, and he realises he can't escape. For me, showing some proper acting skills there as well, rather than just somebody who spent most of his career gurning. But yeah, it is a great movie, as it says there at the top. He's got Lauren Linney, Ed Harris is in this as well. Great film, honestly. I went to see it in the cinema, brilliant. I've seen it again reasonably recently. Still holds up. I think it's a great film. You'll all know these ones. This one here. This is I think this one we picked up somewhere. This is the Star Wars trilogy. The middle 3, 4, 5 and 6, or the original trilogy? Yes, but not 1, 2 and 3, this is 4, 5 and 6. These are the special edition ones, so these are the ones that George Lucas went out and redid, of which I saw the first 2 in cinema. I never bothered seeing Return of the Jedi because, well, Return of the Jedi. Nice little set here. Nice little... yes, they usually got a great length back then. Unfortunately, the insides... slightly let it down a bit, I think, because they're cardboard cases. But there we go. So the original 3 films are there, and those are the special editions rematched from THX. So there we go. I think that's one of the most common things you'll see. People got videos to select car boots. That's probably one of them. But yeah, so these are the new scenes, new sounds, new special effects. So there we go, Star Wars trilogy. And to back that one up as well, I went to see it in the cinema. Then obviously I went out to buy it because everybody had to go and buy it because it was going to be the biggest video cassette selling title of all time. This is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I went to see it in the cinema on the opening weekend, and we had front row seats because nobody wanted them. You know, the only seats they could give us were on the front row. That's good, isn't it? Watch the pod race. Good grief. I see the only time I've come out of the cinema with a sore neck. So there we go, the pod race at the top there. We've got the fight with Darth Maul and Kai John and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we got Jar Jar and Binks at the bottom as well. There we go. Yeah, there were people stand on that one. People were disappointed. It was all right. I think it's the worst one of the 3. Those 3 anyway. I think it's probably my second favourite. The other 2 are tied first. I don't know. Anyway. And then we got these video cassettes to finish on last time. And again, I think we picked these up at a car boot to resell, but we never did. And I don't know why, because I don't think either of us are particularly interested in this genre. So they stuck around for ages. But they're Bruce Lee films. I'm not really a Bruce Lee fan, but we got these from somewhere else. I don't even know if these are sealed. I'm not going to open each one up. So they're actually from the Forefront Video re-release, I think. So we got Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon. So these have been sitting in our cupboard for how many years now? We got Bruce Lee in Game of Death 2. This is the 1981 action classic. He died by then, hadn't he? I don't really know the story behind Bruce Lee. There's a great video on the VHS bootleggers where they talk at great length about Bruce Lee. Yeah, it's all, yeah, so check age now. So yeah, so if you go and custom the VHS bootleggers, and there's a video on discussing it on Bruce Lee, it's quite interesting that. So if you like Bruce Lee? I've been hit by Bruce Lee. If you like Bruce Lee, that's your sort of thing. 97 action classic, that's Game of Death 1. There we go. Martial arts action film. Bruce Lee the Legend. Is that actually a film? It's a feature-length documentary, that's it. So feature-length documentary on Bruce Lee. It's all part of the same series. There's 6 videos in this series, and we've got all 6. If I rearrange them, I can actually show it there. We've got The Big Boss, which is in the 1971 action classic. There we go. And finally, the last one to show you is Fist of Fury. There we go. So actually, the one that isn't in here, which you'd expect to see in here, is of course Enter the Dragon, which is the one I know mostly of. There we go. If I rearrange that for you and try and hold it up without dropping them. Be a first, wouldn't it? See, it makes up a nice Bruce Lee picture down the spine there. The first 5 anyway, the 6th one doesn't really have anything on it. But that was the thing, so you display on your shelf, you've got a picture of Bruce Lee. There we go, you can see that there. So there we go, that's some feature films there from my VHS collection. I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane. I hope it's been informative and interesting. Apologies if the old memory was a bit sketchy. But yeah, it's been interesting stuff there. It's nice to go through those because, again, I knew they were there, I just didn't think I still had them. But anyway, if you have liked that, don't forget to give me do the old like, subscribe, comment thing as well. That'd be nice. If you want to go and check out the Blu-ray video I did, go and have a look at that. There's also other stuff on here as well, gaming stuff. There's all the VHS, all the collections, etc. Have a peruse around and see if there's anything that takes your fancy. In the meantime, I've got a video coming out which will be talking about the comedy aspect I mentioned at the start, the black and white comedies. I'm going to follow up the Blu-ray normal with Blu-ray 3D, and then of course I've got DVDs to do. There'll be quite a few of these videos cropping in every now and again in between the usual rubbish. So yeah, if you have enjoyed that, do come back for those. In the meantime, I will let you get on back to what you're doing normally. Thanks very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.